Hi everybody, hope you're well. Today we are going to complete the ground strokes with the one-handed drive backhand. Okay, same as the other videos, I'll break it down from my point of view in relation to the different grips, the technique that is suitable for those grips, and then again finally the footwork that is suitable for you to complete the shot. Okay, so we'll get straight into it. The single-handed backhand. The first grip is called the Continental Grip. Okay, again I'm right-handed, so you can see from this position it's straight on. It's straight on. There's the grip for a continental backhand grip. Again, the process, obviously with your non-dominant hand, I like to try and suggest that non-dominant hand holds the neck part of the racket, not on the grip, not off the racket. You would start with your opposite hand holding the neck of the racket. So again, from this position, you're ready, okay, to receive the ball wherever. From this position, same rules apply. You will be receiving the ball and you are going to try and get your non-dominant hand to help pull that racket straight back to try and achieve that unit turn before the ball bounces on your side of the court. Okay, and again I've talked about this in the other videos. Try and get that done by the time the ball is reaching the net. So here, straight. Okay, same rules apply in my other coaching videos, in that for flat, straighter grips, you're traditionally going to be hitting a much flatter ball, so therefore you need the final bit of footwork with everything pointing in the direction that you're going to try and hit the ball. Okay, now from this point, you will, because of this grip, you will want the racket being released at a much straighter, flatter projection through the ball. Okay, turn, footwork, straight. Okay, and that's going to help you generate a much flatter ball going towards the net. Okay, the next grip that we look at from that continental grip, you're going to move your hand. Obviously if you're right-handed, you'll be moving it slightly to the left. If you are left-handed, you'll be moving it slightly to the right. Is what we come into the Eastern backhand grip. The Eastern backhand grip. And if you were to have your racket straight and you were to look down, the knuckle of your index finger is almost on top of the racket, with that racket completely straight. Okay, ready position. Now this time what's going to start happening, as that left arm, your non-dominant hand, pulls the racket back and starts getting the unit to turn, same rules apply as what we start to talk about on the forehand, that the elevation of the racket head gradually will start to become a little bit higher on the take back. So you're starting to create a little bit more of a loop to begin with in that unit turn. Footwork towards the ball, and then from here you will start getting that racket head driving slightly underneath the ball, pulling up to that point of contact before releasing that racket a little bit more up and through towards your opposite shoulder. Okay, what you'll find with all single-handed backhands is that the dominant hand, the hand that's obviously holding the racket, your goal should be to try and keep that arm straight throughout the entire shot. So you're going to use the much bigger muscles to do the work. And I've talked and I've seen a lot of people down at the club that have a lot of these bent arm situations going at the ball. And you can just imagine, you know, what that's doing to that elbow. Not good. Okay, so if you can straighten that out, make the unit do the work a lot more, and the bigger muscles swing at the ball, keeping these areas straight. And again, from an injury point of view, you have a good chance of not flaring up those joints through the actual shot. Okay, so the Eastern backhand grip, knuckle on top, so you're slightly moving it over to the left if you're right-handed, slightly over to the right if you are left-handed. Okay, recap, pulling that racket up a little bit as you start that unit turn. Footwork kicks in with eventually that final foot being planted forward, releasing the racket underneath the ball, driving up to that point of contact, releasing that racket head all the way through towards your opposite shoulder. And a lot of you have heard me talk about where the racket should finish. It should finish roughly at a 1 o'clock position. If you've got a clock in front of you, finish at 1 o'clock. Don't let it come off over to 3 o'clock, and you certainly don't want it to be coming off behind you. Unlike the double-handed backhand, which involves a lot of body rotation, you don't want to have quite as much rotation on a single-handed backhand. You've got to wind it up, you've got to work the feet, but from here I release and I leave the body in that position before then turning back to get into the ready position. Okay, and that Eastern grip, similar to the Continental grip, which is a flat swing through. It's just now a gradual elevation up on the follow through. Okay, so that's the Eastern backhand grip. The next grip, even further over, we're into now the semi-Western backhand grip. Okay, so obviously if you think about on that forehand video, it kept on moving further and further around this way for your forehands. Exactly the same for the backhands, it moves further and further around this way, the more topspin you're wanting to create. Okay, again, from that central position, as you twist to get that semi-Western backhand grip, immediately look what happens to the racket head. Boom. Okay, it gets pulled much higher, so immediately we're into much more of a looped take back as you're winding that racket up. The racket head's then dropping at a much steeper angle towards that ball, and then it's a sharper rise up to that point of contact before rolling it up and through towards your end target area. And as soon as you start getting into these a little bit more extreme grips that are helping you create more topspin, yes, you are using a lot more wrist and elbow action over the ball. This kind of follow through area would be a bit more kind of your 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Yeah, do that one more time before coming back on up. Okay, and again, the more extreme you get with the grips, the more topspin you're creating. And the final grip, the full Western grip, which is where the racket is literally twisted to the side and all your knuckles are planted right on top of the racket. Okay, and again, made popular, similar to the forehand video, by the Europeans that were dealing with striking balls much more shoulder head height. Okay, and again, as they drive up the back of the ball, it's almost like a windscreen wiper. Yeah, it's coming right over here. Same principles, ready position, it's like that frying pan that we talked about in the forehand. The racket head is coming much more up closer to your head. Footwork, drive up the back of the ball. Okay, similar rules apply. Dealing with it with a lot more open stance is possible for the more topspin related grips. Bang. yeah, and you're just rotating up the back of the ball, okay? So a quick little recap of all of that. The Continental grips, the Eastern backhand grip, okay? It's really sensible for anybody that's got injuries or elbow or joint issues that would flare up if the more you're kind of having to rotate those joints through the shot. So these two type of grips and technique are a little bit straighter and through, so you're not putting so much pressure on this area. If you don't have tennis elbow, if you don't have wrist issues, if you don't have rotational issues, and you want to create a little bit more top spin from that central position, yes, you can afford to turn your grip a little bit further over towards the semi-western. Wouldn't necessarily suggest go all the way around to the western, but towards that semi-western area, where then the elevation is higher, lower, and then steeper up the back of the ball to really drive and create that top spin. Okay, so that's the differences with regards to the grips and the type of technique that is needed to make that grip successful for you. Okay, a couple of little other tips that I notice and I see again a lot of in relation to this non-dominant hand on the backhand. From the ready position, make sure that non-dominant hand is pulling that racket back and creating that unit turn. Then obviously the footwork needs to kick in to wherever. It's not until you're about to release that racket at the ball does that hand come off the neck of the racket. There, you then struck the ball and then you're coming on through. Then it all comes back round to the ready position. I see a lot of people pulling the racket back and then that hand comes off. And immediately that elbow bends. Boom. And then you're straight in to swinging at the ball from the elbow. And that's just over time going to cause issues, okay? The rule is, remember, for a single-handed backhand, you need to swing at this ball from the bigger muscles. Boom. Yeah, I'm getting the hips involved there. I'm releasing through to that point of contact before carrying on up towards the end area. Don't let that hand come off too early. But obviously, opposite to that, don't leave it on too long. Don't try and push the racket forward and then you get too much rotation, okay? So that left hand pulls the racket back. The feet are worked into position. Same rules apply. If you want to hit the ball cross court, you're slightly more open. If you want to hit the ball down the line, you're slightly more turned, okay? And then from that position, you release the racket through and over, okay? Last little tip is, how do you change between the grips? So going from a forehand grip back to the ready position to the backhand grip. It's your other hand. It's the non-dominant hand. So if I go from if I'm a single-handed backhand player and I hit a forehand, this hand twists the racket towards my forehand grip, back to the ready position, central position. Ball comes to my backhand. This hand twists the racket. Okay, you're not doing it without this hand involved. This hand twists the racket to that backhand position, back to the ready position. Twist. Twist. Okay, so I hope that helps in relation to the single-handed backhand, gives you a few little tips. Again, if you've got any questions, drop me an email, send me a text, drop me a WhatsApp, and I'll happily answer any questions you got. Take care.